Here's Jim.
Hey, Pam.
Yes.
Here's Bruce.
You send it to Steve Vale too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm not sure if he's coming, but
Do I have his? What's his email? Does anyone know?
Sandy Vale.
Am I supposed to forward it to him?
Yes.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Hold on 1 second, because I got craziness. Hold on. So, give me his email, Sandy.
Sandy Vale.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it now.
Let me see if I have it.
Let's see.
Hey, Joe. What is it? S. Lemlin? J. Lemlin. Okay. I'm sending it right now. It's also on your agenda, the meeting code, if you have that. What happened was I sent the January meeting code and not the February. So,
Hey,
right.
Rhonda, I don't think you just sent it to me.
I sent it to Joe Lemlin too on that attachment. I tried to send to Steve, but I can't find his email in the.
It's Sandra Vale at yahoo.com.
Okay. All right. Thank you. VAIL, right?
VAILL.
Say it again.
VAILL.
2 L's. Okay. Thank you.
There's Joe.
Joe, are you with us?
He's just going to unmute. Yep. There you go.
All right. How you doing, Joe?
Good, good.
Were you in Florida, Joe?
Yeah.
There's no shade November?
I was wishing.
Hey, Marty, is Jim still out with the Public Works?
He's getting ready to hook in. I was just talking to him.
Okay.
He didn't realize what time it was.
Here, don't you worry.
There he is.
Gotta update that watch.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Rhonda, roll call.
George Clausen. Bill Hester.
Yep.
Joe Lemlin.
Yep.
John Mazzacati.
Yep.
Bruce Stratford, I see. And Marty Cormier.
Hello.
Jim Rollins and PM Columbi.
Is there any public input? Seeing none, approval of minutes, December 8th, 2020.
Make a motion to approve January 12th minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed. Let's see, Barkhamsted update.
Oh, really nothing new. They've done a little bit of internal plumbing. They've started installing the water meters. They've sent me the procedure for the pressure test. And really that's about it, but nothing new.
Okay. Bruce, finance.
Yeah. Good evening. I hope you all have the reports that we sent out earlier today. I'll start with the sewer report, colored green in the left-hand corner. So we're at 7 months through the fiscal year, or 58%. We are running slightly ahead of last year in terms of sewer rent collections, and total revenues are about 9,000 ahead of last year at this time. I've underlined miscellaneous revenue septic dumping on page 1. And just so you know that the $30,000 we collected in the month of January included really the December payments, remittances by those customers. And we got behind in December because of illness. Half the department was out with COVID. So we just didn't get those posted until, or deposited until January. So, but at this point, through 7 months a year, we're at 85% of our septic dumping budget, which I think is promising.
Right. Yeah.
No activity from Russ Septic. They've paid their bill. They're just not dumping. So, page 2, the sanitation plant is at 51% of its budget. I don't see any areas of concern there. Page 3, the pumping station department is at 41% of its budget. Again, I don't see any major issues there. Department 317, WPCA, I've underlined the pension contribution. Want you to know that we made a $28,000 contribution today out of the sewer fund to the pension plan, and we'll do the balance in May or June. The other underlined item on page 3 is just referencing costs related to the Barkhamsted project are offset by revenues that show up on page 1. That's why we don't have a budget for it. Page 4, debt administration's at 25% of the budget. That's normal. We have our big debt payment at the end of the year. And total expenditures are at $943,000, or 47% of the budget. Fiscal 20, we were at 43% of the budget at $920,000. So sewer fund is performing as I would expect.
Couple of questions for you, Bruce. And,
sure.
Well, Jim. Back on page 2, overtime, you're at 63%. Does that take into account the Eversource that we might be getting money back from?
On the sanitation department?
Yes, correct.
I don't think you had overtime out of those guys, did you, Jim?
So yeah, we did. I don't know whether it would have gotten into the pay period and paid by January 30th. Yeah, it probably would have. Yeah, probably.
But you had guys from the sanitation plant working on that? Not
the sanitation plant.
Okay, so you want to be down at...
well, the sanitation plant, though, we're at 63% of overtime with 5 months to go.
I think a lot of that was during that blizzard or that hurricane, whatever it was, where the power was out. We ate up a lot of money there.
August.
We started off the year with several several call-ins down there where they were having problems, but things are running pretty smoothly now. So I wouldn't be alarmed at that. At 58% of the year, having 62% of the OT, I'm comfortable.
All right, down at pumping stations. Heating fuel, we're at 90%. We're going to need some transfer probably next month.
Let me look into that for you, Marty. See what.
So my comment on that is, this is the first year that I've really been paying attention and allocating the same fuel filling tank. We're allocating some of it to water and sewer where we hadn't been in the past. We're taking the big tank and everything else the street department's absorbing, but we're taking the big tank when it gets filled, or the big tanks, and splitting that 3 ways: 50% street, 25 water, 25 sewer. So it's the first time we've been consistently doing that. So that might be why it's running high.
So something to keep in mind for next year's budget.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And then on 316, pumping stations. Contracted service and bituminous concrete. We're both at over 80%.
Yeah, we'll be all right with both of those. We pulled out of bituminous because I don't see the need. We probably won't have to pull out of that very much at all.
Okay.
With the remainder of the year.
All right.
And contracted services as well.
Okay, just something that I noticed, that's all. All right, that's it.
Yep. Yeah, the heating fuel as well. That was one that we worked on last year as well. I know we were pulling a lot of generator fuel was coming out of that heating fuel line. So Jim and I decided to make a separate line, which was for the generator fuel. And I just have to make sure that we haven't been accidentally pulling out of there, Jim. I can check that tomorrow. I don't have that stuff. You know what I mean? Sometimes that propane, because we had no need for propane, and the only propane we really used was at the natural gas, rather. Excuse me, was at for the generators at the pump station. So let me make sure we haven't been
generator fuel. Marty, generator fuel is at 42%. So I think we're allocating that right.
Okay, I hope so. Okay. That's the only thing I could see. Maybe heating fuel was being pulled out of that, but we'll have to look.
We'll look at it. That line I knew was going to be kind of sketchy because we guessed based on usage in the past. So we'll just keep an eye on it and budget better next year.
All right.
I mean, just 131. Oops, 2. Hold on, 2. So there's a lot of Superior Plus. We had 2 invoices of $600 each from Superior Plus hit that account in January. Is that the big tank fills that down at Raleigh Street?
Yeah, because I think it was 2,400. So 50%, 1,200, then 25. Yeah, it sounds about right.
Okay. That's the January activity. Okay, the transition, the sewer fund bank balance is at $444,000. Its share of the savings account balance is $273,000, fairly stable from last month. Water fund. That's the blue report. We are in pretty good shape in terms of current water rents. We're at $873,000 compared to $838,000 this year. Last time we're a little bit behind on past due water rents, so that kind of eats up that gain. Total revenues are at $995,000 compared to $992,000 last year at this time. So again, very comparable to the way we expect the water fund to work revenue-wise. Page 2, the Waterworks, Department 317. The first underlined item is just a reminder that the fund is expecting some assistance from the McCarthy Fund to offset those costs, those intern costs. The emergency repairs line at the bottom of the department, we're at slightly over budget. I guess I defer to Marty to decide, do you want to, replenish that account?
I would I would like to replenish it. It's going to take me a little while to look at and see where we would get that from. That fund's going to be pretty tight this year. We've been spending a bunch out of it. Emergency repairs is exactly what it is. Unforeseen water breaks. I know the line there because we used to draw right out of our operating lines for any unforeseen emergencies. 20,000 we can eat up in one water main break. So let me, what would you be interested in doing, Bruce? You just want to get that even? I don't see the sense in.
I think probably what you do is let me know if you think you're going to need a big piece, and then we'll propose something.
Well, we got extra money in supplies and materials, Marty. Right now, it looks like you got.
Yeah, I've still got half the year to go, though. I 50% of the year almost. I don't want to eat up everything we have.
No. I realize that, but half the year you spend 20.
I wouldn't say so. So to be honest with you, emergency repairs, if we were to put a couple $1,000s in there, it wouldn't be a drop in the bucket. If we have something major, catastrophic hit, we're gonna have to find it somewhere. It's not.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just watch that. The Crystal Lake plant, Department 319 on page 3, they're at 49% of budget. I guess, Department 317 was at 56% of budget, so basically right where you expect it to be. Nothing there in the Crystal Lake plant. Again, in Department 321, I've underlined the pension. We made a contribution today of about $70,000. And I think the Water Commission's at 48%. Total fund is at 50%, 51%, 956,000 compared to 897,000 last year at this time. That's mostly because we're funding the capital improvements fund for water sewer out of regular transfers, and that's why that's slightly higher than last year at this time. So, any particular questions on the water?
Well, same thing with the waterworks, the 317, the overtime line, same thing, Jim, because of the storm. Marty, you're at 67%.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't expect that was because of the storm so much. I think it's just, since we've expended our emergency repairs line, there's labor associated with all those emergency repairs, which usually end up long days. So since we're too far along on that, it's probably likely we'd be ahead of schedule on the overtime as well. So, but again, 67%, I'm not alarmed by that.
We had some big charges at the end of October and the beginning of November. Was there a water line break back then?
We had the breaks, and we were also finishing up when we were on the overlook, or on the Brookside water main.
Brookside.
I know we were working long days on that in order to go Brookside, to get that done. So the guys that we had a couple projects that ate up some overtime this year, definitely. I wouldn't foresee going over this year. Of course, the unforeseen would be a major water main break or something like that. But we don't have any large projects planned before July, so I wouldn't want to see time being eaten up.
That's all I got.
Anything else? So the water fund bank account balance is at 573,000, and its savings account balance is 874,000. So that takes you through the cash positions. Again, they're all pretty standard, what we'd expect. I think I had here, I think I sent you the Fund 123, Water and Sewer Capital Improvements. There are 2 pages to that report. Page 1 just shows you the appropriation transfers, 105,000 out of the sewer fund, 155,000 out of the water fund. Those are year-to-date transfers. The page 2 gives you the individual projects. Very little activity on the projects this month. A little bit of costs flowing into Pump Station 8. I think what you see now is you see some of those projects that we had didn't really have the budget for last month, and we did some transfers, and so those projects have got budget dollars that show them in reasonably good shape at this point. You'll see that the vacuum trucks do have negative unencumbered balances. That's because we're planning for budgets through the next 2 fiscal years to contribute to those 2 accounts, the vacuum truck and the sewer fund, and the vac truck in the water fund.
Hey, Bruce.
Yeah.
Last time there, the 878-2109.
Water mains?
Yeah, we're at 126,000 over.
So what they've done is they've issued a purchase order for the preliminary engineering report on this that's required by DWSRF. And so we're expecting that there'll be funding from DWSRF. We have a purchase order to allow for the engineering that has to be done before the actual
well, what's that purchase
funding?
What's the purchase order amount?
Right now let me pull it up just a minute.
It can't be, we had budgeted 50,000, so.
Right, that's to get us started. We're going to have to add some more in the next fiscal year. Okay. There is a purchase order for $159,522. That's the amount of the outstanding to Environmental Partners on January 5th.
Holy mackerel.
And that's for...
I don't remember seeing that before.
That's Bart's instructions to the engineering firm to provide the drawings that the Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund needs in order to process, the loan and program.
I didn't realize it was going to be $160,000 though for engineering costs. That's all. It's a little bit of a shock.
I guess.
Typically you're about 15 to 20% of construction costs. So that's about right.
It's $1 million project, right?
Yeah.
I just don't remember it being brought up before as far as that much. That's all.
I don't think that, is the engineering firm working on that now, or is that a couple month project to get the engineering done?
So the PERs are done. They've been accepted by the state revolving fund. And then the actual engineering, in order to meet, so the whole thing about getting that second, we know we're getting 25% loan forgiveness. The whole thing about getting the second 25% seems to be more about first come, first serve than it is about anything else. So we've been pushing the engineers on all three projects, Crystal Lake, Wallens Hill, and the main water main replacements hard. So we wanted to get them out there and get them surveying before the weather turned. And as of the report today, they've got the vast majority of the survey done. So the engineering is underway. They'll have to do some rechecks once the snow is gone, but they got enough information to really start going at it. So that was as of today's update. So to answer your question, yes, the design is underway.
Will it be complete this year or this budget?
This budget by
July 1st?
Yeah, gonna be pretty close, yeah. Because the whole
that's what we're pushing for, to try to get because it has to be by the end of the state budget. The state may have funds available next year, from what I understand, to offer that extra 25%, but they're not certain. It's available now as long as we get it in.
So, Bruce, is this something that we should transfer money out of savings to cover this purchase order?
Well,
and then replenish if need be later? Or I just hate to see a negative that high up.
Well, so I think of it this way. It's like the vacuum trucks. We are going to fund the water fund share of this project that over a number of budget periods. And this is the beginning of it. So we had to issue a purchase order in order to get this engineering work done so that we can sign the paperwork to get the loan and then ultimately get the loan forgiveness. So I wouldn't, in terms of paying the engineer, I think there's sufficient funds in the operating account that will cover that. And we won't have to move money from the savings account. I don't think that that'll be necessary.
It's over $100,000 we'd have to come up with the budget.
It is. We put in $50,000 for this year's share of it.
Right.
We haven't spent any money on it. We've just issued a purchase order. So we'll watch it and maybe make a recommendation in a couple months. So,
Jim, on the rest of these projects, how much more engineering costs is it going to be incurred for the balance?
Similar percentages.
Well, if it's $1 million project, you said.
So the water mains is estimated at a little over $1 million. Each tank is estimated at right around $2 million. So 10 to 15%, 15 to 20% of the cost goes into the engineering. So you're going to be incurring those costs on those projects as well.
So we're looking at least another $300,000 for the 2 tanks.
At least.
So
more.
All right. So that'll have to come out of somewhere because that'll be done by the end of next year, engineering. You have to get the engineering done in order to get the tanks
Yeah,
going?
again, the engineering, the PER has been accepted. The engineering, the next step on that is borings. We haven't really quite gotten into it yet. We haven't written even the POs for that yet. So I don't have a good answer for that.
But 2022, it should, the next budget season should be well underway then. 21, 22.
Well, the engineering should be underway before then. So the purchase orders should be written in this budget in fiscal 21.
For another 300,000?
At least, yeah. Well, that's probably all you'll need, and then more in the following budget year.
Let's when we meet through some of our other meetings, Jim,
Okay.
give me an idea of what that is, and then I can make a recommendation to the commission.
Yeah,
on how
that was part of part of that email I sent the other day about all those, the dams,
Yes.
the dikes, and all of these. So
Yeah.
we can pick up from there.
The only other thing I have is under my report is that there is a request to refund $48.33 to attorney Robert
Dwyer.
Dwyer. Correct.
Is it the name was Water?
Dwyer.
Dwyer.
Dwyer. Attorney Dwyer. To correct a miscalculation of water on the closing of a property sale. So I'd ask that you, I think I sent that out in the last email.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't read that part.
See neither.
Motion to
I'll make a motion to reimburse the 48.
30.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All set, Bruce.
Okay, I'll make a note that it's in the minutes. I'll just make some notes on this document here.
Okay.
2/9/21. See minutes. That's all I have for my part of the regular report.
Okay. Sewer plant furnace installed, running, ready, done.
So the first one is in and running good. The second one is installed, but the wiring hasn't been finished yet. So they're expecting, they're nibbling away at it. But Alex is as happy as can be with his new reliable furnace.
And the step screen site meeting last week. How did we make out?
So I didn't attend that. I know Steve and Bill were there. So Bill, if you want to take the lead on that.
I actually haven't heard anything back from the guy. He will draw up a proposal, and Marty's back. We didn't forget you, Marty, about dewatering the truck. So that pipe will be hooked up. So as soon as he gets it to us, I guess what we would have to do is then we can do like a bid spec on what we want. And then this is going to be soup to nuts from they're going to come in, wire it, dig it, get it up and operational from beginning to end. So as soon as he gets it, go ahead.
I thought this was just basically for the groundwork to get the pad and the dikes done and all that.
Well, we were there. Go ahead.
The proposal is for the whole thing so that we can see the scope of the work, and then we'll schedule the order of operations such that we can do the site work prep ahead of time. But we need to know the whole package so we can orchestrate the rest of the process. So seeing that whole proposal is what we're looking to do first.
Right. Start to finish.
Does he realize the proposal might take a year or two to complete?
Yes.
It won't be complete in 1 year. Okay.
Right.
Any questions for Bill on the site meeting?
No.
Hearing none. Discussion, sewer rate increase. Bruce.
Okay, I sent out a slide deck, a document called slide deck for the 2021 proposed sewer rate increase slide deck. These are just some documents that for you to consider that we would show to the public. I may have put more in there than you would like, but let me just give you the explanation or the rationale for these documents and their sequence. The first
Bruce,
one is.
Did you just send it out, Bruce? I didn't see it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Me either.
Wait a minute. I thought, do you have it, Jim?
Yeah. That was the one you sent to me and John this morning, right?
No, I sent it. I sent it at 5:15 this afternoon. I sent it to Rhonda, John, Jim, and Marty. I can forward it on to, I don't know if I have everybody's
Bruce,
name.
if you want to send it to me and I can pull it up right now, or if you want me to share it on the screen, if you guys want to look at it.
There you go, Pam.
Okay. Yeah, I was busy shoveling snow at 5:15, so.
I got to do that later.
I got to do it later too.
I understand. May your backs be saved and preserved.
Yeah, right.
Amen.
And you have it, Pam?
Yeah. You see it?
Oh, up top. Yep. Sewer.
Yep.
You have to open it.
Okay. All right. No, hold on. I guess.
There you go.
It's up.
Okay, so can you shrink it a little bit so that everybody can see the, yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. So this is the main message of this chart just compares how the sewer fund has performed financially over the last 5 fiscal years. And the storyline here is that the yellow line shows that the sewer fund is losing, it's eating up its net position every year because of loss before losses it's generating, mostly out of the heavy depreciation charges. Okay, so the net position, we started off at the beginning of fiscal 16 at 14,700,000. And now at the end of fiscal 20, we're at 13,825,000. So almost $900,000 a decline over 5 years. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to stop this from continuing so that we actually start adding some net position every year. And that's why the reason for the sewer rate increase. After 4 years, it's expected to give us about $500,000 in extra revenue, which would then, take care of wipe out these annual deficits, and then provide some added funding for all the repairs that we know we're going to have to do at the sanitation plant and in the collection system. So this kind of expresses the need. We can't continue if we don't change the rates. we're going to continue to see this eating away of the net position, and we won't have what we need in order to continue. All right, next slide. So this is just a, these are some of the key metrics that relate to the Winchester systems compared to Torrington, Norfolk, and New Hartford. Just the key lines. I know these are some numbers. We can talk to this, just the fact that why we're different from the Torrington system and from the Norfolk, New Hartford systems. The most relevant item is the top line, which is the annual cost for a user, for a customer with 5,000 gallons per month usage. Now, ultimately, the Winchester proposal is supposed to take that annual cost from $530 to $671, a 27% increase. This is better illustrated in the next slide. So I don't know if you can shrink that a little bit, Pam. Yeah, okay. So this kind of compares the annual sewer fee for this monthly usage, and compares where Winchester is currently, which is the far left bar, where the proposed rate would be. It's about $630 a year, compared to Torrington, where we just can't be really compared because they have so many more users. And then, but the 630 compares very favorably to Norfolk and to New Hartford's annual fees. Much smaller systems, but again, give some context for where we are now and where we would be going, where we're proposing to go. This chart shows the composition of the rate increase, the components. There's a base rate charge that we're going to equalize that to the water base rates. We're going to phase that in over 4 years. This is the revenues that would be coming into the fund each year. Year one, the 163,000 would probably get close to putting that annual loss at around zero, reducing it close to, under $50,000. Year two would bring it positive. Year three would bring it more positive. And then by year four, it should be covering any cost increases and still be adding the kind of revenues and resources to the sewer fund to allow for all the major repairs we see ahead.
Bruce, could I just interrupt you for a second? On that previous slide, you're comparing it to Torrington and Norfolk and New Hartford. Do we have any information on a comparable size system that we could show that might be more meaningful?
I think we can get the information. Question is do you have any recommendations on what towns we would compare well with? I don't know. Is there anybody in Litchfield County, or do we need to go over to Hartford County?
I think you'd have to go over to Hartford County.
To get a comparable.
Right. You could actually call the CCM, Connecticut Council of Municipalities. They might be able to bring something up that's a little bit more comparable.
I think that would be an important, comparison, because Torrington doesn't really show us much because of the size of their system, and Norfolk and New Hartford, likewise, they're smaller. So if that's possible, it might help us in selling this increase.
All right. Good suggestion. We'll dig into that. Okay. This chart just shows a typical user in our typical customer using 1,000 cubic feet per quarter, up to 1,500 cubic feet per quarter. And this is a little bit tough to look at. I would say right now, I think it's 1, 2, 3. I need to highlight some columns. The total 2 columns to the right of the usage column, which is colored, you get $96 and $114 per quarter. And you move over to the next bold column. After 4 years, it would be, go over right, keep going, Pam, more. It would move up to $128 per quarter and $148 per quarter, respectively. So those increases over a 4-year period amount to the percentages that are in the last column, 33% and 29.7%. When you get it down to a cost per gallon, it's the net increase in cost per gallon is really pretty small, but of course we're using lots of gallons. So
I think we need to keep the cost per gallon in all of the communications because that's the only thing people can relate to.
Understood. Hey, Bruce.
Yeah.
Question. The last column on here, the increase 33 and 29, but the previous slides, you had said 27% increase. Why would be the difference from 27 to 33 to 29? We're giving them too many different percentages here.
Yeah. So the previous slides looked at a 5,000 gallon per month, and this is slightly less. These are at increments less than that. So the more you use, the smaller the percentage increase. So I think that's probably why you got a 27% increase at 5,000 gallons per month, or 2,000 cubic feet per quarter. These were at, we have more users that are in the 1,000 to 1,500 cubic feet per quarter range. So,
well, if you're paying the same amount of money per cubic foot, why would it be less of a percentage? Okay, yeah, never mind.
You're not because you have a base fee.
Right. Okay.
The base fee is the same regardless of usage.
Okay.
But I can add another line here that will tie into the 27% number.
Well, just because it'd be understandable to see the correlation rather than wondering.
Yeah. What we don't have from the other, for the comparable systems data, we don't have anything other than 5,000 gallons per month. Mm-hmm. That's what they do across the board. They just price the user at 5,000 gallons per month. And so we have to kind of use that as a baseline, and then I can back off of that and show, well, if you're not using 5,000 gallons per month or 2,000 cubic feet per quarter, you're more in the 1,500 range or the 1,000 range. This is what the impact would be.
Okay.
Makes sense. Okay.
Okay. So that's chart 4. So the next one shows you kind of how this works over a 4-year phase-in. Your quarterly billing. The blue is the 2,500 gallons per month. The red is 3,750 gallons per month, and the green is the 5,000 gallons per month. So you kind of see how your rates would work over the next 4 years phasing in. So I thought
I like that, Bruce, but why did we jump from 1,000 gallons to the previous slide to 2,500 gallons on this slide?
Let's see.
We jumped 1,500 gallons.
Yeah, go back. Let me see it. I may be. Hold it. No.
Right there.
Right there. Okay.
There, yep.
Those I've got those 1,000 and 1,500 are cubic feet.
Okay.
So I got, maybe I have to, the 5,000 gallons per month is 2,000 cubic feet per quarter. And so these 1,500 and 1,000 cubic feet take you down to lower gallons per month. You know?
I mean, we should keep it all in the same.
Keep it consistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Either gallons or cubic feet, one of the two.
What do you recommend?
I think gallons.
Gallons.
Yeah.
Easily.
Everybody get a gallon. Okay. I will.
Right.
I will,
Just just keep in mind that 1,000 cubic feet is 7,480 gallons. Because it's 7.48 gallons per cubic foot.
Right. Okay.
But I don't think anybody thinks in terms of cubic feet. I mean,
no.
I see it. I always make the calculation change so I know what we're doing.
Exactly.
Okay. So, I will make sure we're just dealing with gallons.
Yep. Right. Because Jim wants the price per gallon so they realize what they're paying. So this would make it flow easier, I think.
Okay.
And like Jim, I think is aiming toward like if you used 100 gallons, this is how much you're going to pay to use it, and this is how much you're going to pay to get rid of it. Yeah. So they think in terms of 100 gallons, which is what everybody uses basically in the course of one day. That might make things a little bit more simpler terms too.
Okay, is that we want to? Do you want me to show what the 100 gallon?
Well, I would definitely keep everything to gallons, and then maybe later on, we could break it down or whatever. So, like I say, people are saying, hey, I'm using 100 gallons a day. This is what it's costing me to use it. This is what it's costing me to get rid of it, whether it goes down the drain or not.
That's an approach for the sales pitch, which is going to be understandable. I think that's a good idea, Bill.
Okay. I will make the 100 gallon and we'll put everything to gallons, and then I'll provide some data for 100 gallons per day. 100 gallons costs.
Sorry, I know it's more work, but
no, this is good.
We got to convince people.
Exactly.
Okay. Is there another slide there? Was that it?
That was it.
That was it.
That was fourth. Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead. Who's ever going? Whenever somebody gets a chance, just email us everything out so I can actually still have it in front of me. Email those papers out.
I can do it tomorrow.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thanks.
Thank you for your input, Bruce. That was good.
Nice work.
Yeah, very good work.
Thank you.
Never easy to go through a rate increase.
No.
Especially with Zoom.
Yeah, right.
Also, just keep in mind so everybody realizes eventually Torrington will go up.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to stay that low forever. Remember, $72 million project down there, so their rates are going to go up.
How did they get the project approved without talking about the rate? Did they get a rate increase already approved?
I don't think they did. I think they just went for the money, applied for the money and then just went right from there. They're supposed to be done with that project by the end of this year, from what I understand.
Right.
It's a beautiful facility. Somebody's clock's going.
That's Slipper.
Time's up.
Time's up. Cost of the pumps, Morgan Drive, Lakeview. Possible gravity system. Did you look into that?
We didn't get anything yet, but Eric Hess is working on the proposal. So as soon as we get it, we'll forward it up to you.
Okay. Cary Avenue sewer project by the homeowners?
Absolutely no word from them yet.
Crystal Lake emergency action plan?
That's ongoing. That's going to be months of ongoing. There's a lot of give and take back and forth between us and them.
Do we have be done this year or this fiscal year, you think?
Yeah, there's a completion date for some of it, like a statutory date. I don't know what it is, but
okay,
we have to meet it.
Sewer plant generators done? Frozen valve, portable water?
So sewer plant generator, they are starting on the last phase of that tomorrow, actually. The valve for the potable water is $9,500 plus electrical work, and so he's got that underway. He's writing purchase orders and stuff for that. the broken PVC pipe. He's still waiting on a quote from that. The new VFD, he has a quote for $5,900 for the third VFD. And then the sludge pump, I guess 2 of the 3 are operational. And once he's happy with that for now, and he'll pick away at it as, you know, as needed. He's just got a lot of loose ends right now, so that's not really his main priority.
Okay, everybody get the paperwork Jim sent out for the update on 12 Adams?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, Jim.
Yep.
Marty, Jim?
Yeah, I'm just thumbing through my piles to find it.
Oh,
I can go right now. So as far as 12 Adams, actually thought I could, but I have an empty folder, so I left it at my desk. But I can let you know what you want. So look at that. It says 12 Adams right on it too. That's
So
this is what it looks like, Marty.
But I wrote it, so I remember it. So
12 Adams Street, if you remember, was the guy who had an obstructed sewer lateral. He called in Clayton Webb. They came and tried to clear it. Couldn't quite get it. They ended up calling Roto-Rooter, who just completely took advantage of the situation and ended up with a $9,800 or $9,500 invoice, $9,850, and they want us to contribute to resolution. I am of the position that not really that interested. Marty's a little more customer friendly than I am. He's willing to at least consider the possibility that we would have done some of the work had they followed our recommendations, and we would have definitely saved them a ton of money, even though the problem wasn't our fault. Part of me thinks it's a sticky wicket if we start paying people to do things that aren't our responsibility, especially when they don't follow our advice. And we also, we're not really in business to be competitive with contractors, even the Roto-Rooters that are just complete ripoffs. We're supposed to be working on our system, which is from the curb into the road, and then the homeowners and the contractors homeowners are responsible for the curb stop in, and the contractors make their living there. So I don't really want to be the one getting in the way of a contractor making their living and us taking on a responsibility that's really not ours. I do commend Marty for his customer service intentions. I'm not really that inclined to give this guy much of a break, if any.
So Marty's suggesting the 1457.52.
Well, you're saying that's what it would have cost. Go ahead, Joe.
Last month's meeting, that's what I told you guys. I just come to you with what I think it would have cost us. Basically, the issue was, and where I said it, the obstruction was within feet of the curb line. I think we would have decided that was pretty close to our property where we owned it, especially with a 30 plus year resident of the town. I would have dug that, and probably it would have been right there. And a portion of it may very well have been into our property and into our piece of the lateral. I can't say that it was, because it was already repaired by the time we get there. By the time I did the inspection. So I don't know. I just wish Mr. Amoroso had given us the opportunity to act rather than just call a contractor. But he did. That was his decision. So It would have cost me, I think it would have cost us about $1,500 to fix that.
Just one question, Marty. Would we normally inspect when they redo a hookup? Would they call you guys and have you inspect before they backfilled it? Or are they supposed to?
Yes.
Okay, so is there any
Yep.
any way we can encumber anything for that? You know what I mean? Like go back and say, hey, you didn't call us for an inspection.
For the inspection?
So we're gonna fine you $2,000 or something like that. Is that a possibility?
To Roto-Rooter. They did he did call us for an inspection. Roto-Rooter doesn't miss a beat.
Oh, okay.
They do everything within the letter of the law. They know.
Okay.
They know exactly what they're doing, and they charge accordingly. But they they called us. We went. We did the inspection. The pre-inspection they don't want us doing. They don't want us coming in camera ahead of time. They do not want us.
Oh no, you're right. They don't want to show the guy.
They want to have.
Right. They want to do the most they can for the most. Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean.
Oh, they dug up that whole front yard.
We probably
would have had a 4x4 hole.
I saw it. He showed me a couple days later.
Yeah, but that's what the homeowner asked for. You know. That's what they
that's it. You know,
it's.
So Marty, I can sympathize with you being on the end of this, especially this past week. Being screamed at a gentleman with no pants on. So you guys,
really?
so guys, correct me here if I'm wrong. That lateral is the homeowner's responsibility from the house to the main line, correct? Because that's what I read in the regulations.
Well, to the curb of the road.
To the curb, because that's not what our regulations say. Oh. But it also says that if somebody wants to install a new line into our main line, as long as they have the right permits, they can dig up the road and go into the road and tie into the main.
Well, they got to get a road opening permit.
Right. So they have to have the right permit. So it can be any contractor can dig up the road as long as they have the permit to do it. Right.
Yeah. And then, of course, they got to pay the hookup fee, too.
The hookup fee. So it is sad that this gentleman did not call to come in. So I'm the inclination that it's unfortunately that it's his responsibility, all of it, because it's his lateral.
Yeah.
If he had called and did everything right, then he would have saved himself some money.
And well, actually, not only that, by working for the guy by working for the guy that originally did the work, if he would have even talked to him,
that's correct.
He could have got it done for a quarter of that price. So you're right. You know, he went beyond. So I agree with you. I don't believe we owe him anything. I hate to say it, but
I hate to say it as well. And actually, we might as well do it both at the same time. I feel the same with the other one. I mean, if it was in the road, it was repaired, we shouldn't have to pay anything back. It's not our fault there was roots. That's just the name of the game. I don't think.
Oh, you mean the one from Main Street?
Main Street. I'm trying to kill two birds, one stone.
Yeah, but that's our
but why should we?
That's our section of the
That's correct. But why are we paying for?
We own from the curb.
But why are we paying for Mercedes to come in and camera it? Mercedes to do their work, and then why are we paying for bleach? Why do they want to charge us for bleach that he bought from the Dollar Tree store?
Well, what he had done is that was to clean up. So basically, what the deal was, he had a backup. You know, they had the backup, of course. And he had called, which I think most homeowners probably do. They don't necessarily call the utility right off the bat. Our utility, that being which they should. I don't know as though we educate people well enough. I think we're at fault. Myself personally, with the Highland Lake pumps and with what people actually own. Maybe they just don't know. But when you have a problem in your house, you call Mr. Webb. You don't necessarily call Marty Cormier. You know what I mean? Which you should. Yeah, I think they should. I try to tell everybody, call me first, and let me eliminate that it's our issue that's causing the problem.
That's correct.
with 142 Main Street, they what happened there, and I can take you through the whole history of that. They took again, you know, was he taken for a ride? Yeah, perhaps to an extent. He had with the first invoice, which would be the with Mercedes, they were able to get some relief. So right, thought it worked. You know, they came and they cut some stuff, and the guy thought he hit some roots. The water went down. The water went down for a few days. So he had to return. At American Rooter come, they told him they had this fancy jetter that would clear the thing. Well, lo and behold, that didn't work. My vac truck wouldn't have cleared this mess. And then the American Rooter decided they'd come back with a cutter, you know, at the expense of an additional $422. That didn't work, believe it or not. So then he called Massetti back, who contacted me. Massetti probably, whether they decided that they had milked him enough or that they couldn't possibly clear this blockage, which nobody could clear this blockage. Right. Decided that they would call us and say, hey, maybe you have a problem on your end of the lateral. That call should have been done, you know, maybe $1,000 in advance. I could see a homeowner, you know, maybe one time. I think a reputable plumber would say, hey, listen, we can't get this thing. Call the Public Works and see if they can help us here.
Well,
we did discover when we went there. I think my memo shows that, you know, when we did go, we were able to camera it out. We were able to locate it. The blockage is clearly within our portion of the lateral. When we excavated, it was clearly, you know, they had cast iron in their yard. Their pipe we cameraed was good. Their section of the lateral was good. Our section of the lateral was not only, it was cracked, it was compromised, and it was full of roots, you know. Mm-hmm. The blockage was on us. You know, here again, had you contacted me, I think we could have saved everybody a bunch of dough, you know. But
right, and I really, Marty, I think
lo and behold, a lot of the homeowners don't know to do it.
Right, and I think that's the problem. It's the education of everybody that they need to call the sewer department first, not Joe Lemlin, not Roto-Rooter. They need to call us so that we can determine whether it's us or it's them. Even if you have to shove a camera down there to find out what the blockage is. Hey, it's in your yard. It's 200 feet.
Sure.
You know, here you go. You know, now we know that it's not us. So that's the thing. And that's one of my goals is to educate the people. We're trying to get them with the rags. That doesn't seem to be working because I did read that. And there was even rags that Mercedes or Roto-Rooter pulled out on the one on Main Street. So they're still flushing things they're not supposed to be flushing. So now you got the roots, the things you're not supposed to be flushing. It's on you.
So from what I'm reading anyway, Marty, if these guys only got to where your thing was clogged, then he's responsible for that Roto-Rooter, whoever it was that did it in the first place. I mean, you fixed what we fixed what was wrong with our part.
Right.
So as far as we're concerned,
See,
that's the way I look at it.
I agree with Marty on this one. I think the problem was caused by the roots that were on the section of lateral that we're responsible for. They incurred costs to try to resolve our problem. Whereas the first one we were looking at, they spent all their money trying to resolve a problem that was on their side. So I think we should pony up for 142 Main Street, but I don't think we should for Adams Street.
All right. So what is Pete actually looking for here? Total.
Well, Pete's looking for both customers are looking for anything, to be honest with you. And as far as Pete, like you say, the bleach, you know, what's the bleach for?
Well, I know.
Yeah, the mess. Right. I know what it's. I know what it's for.
He got it in his cellar.
Obviously, to clean the sewage out of his basement, right? You know, the guy had a mess in his basement.
Right.
So he's and here again, here's another, 30+ year property owner in town. He just, I'm really frustrated, and I've proposed, and Jim and I, we've proposed. I mean, we need a list of qualified contractors in town where people know, hey, call this guy or don't call this guy, and then I can talk to those guys and say, hey, why the hell did you? Why
again,
did you
Marty.
Why did you go back there 3 times? Why did you go back?
Exactly. Well, that's back to the education that people need to call sewer department first. Bottom line.
I'd educate some of these contractors and let them know you come back into town and you deal with our residents in this manner. It's unacceptable.
That's correct.
But we need a decision on each of these.
We do.
Then again, this is a good thing for them to look into the insurance thing that we're offering. For water and sewer repairs. Isn't that what that insurance plan that we recommended?
So that would have covered the guy at 12 Adams Street, but that would not have covered the guy at 142 Main Street because
so it covers his piece of it, doesn't cover our part of it.
Right.
Okay, I got you.
I'll be honest with you, at 12 Adams Street, it probably would have been a fight because they would have said it's within a certain amount of, they would have brought the tape measures out and it would have been within the curb line. It was, they've been splitting hairs with us.
Marty does have a point there. That curb line is kind of a vague line at best. So.
Right. Because a curb line could be 10 feet for Joe, but it could be 25 feet for me.
Right.
So then if we're
gonna, and here's another thing, I know not to interrupt, but I know where my salary is paid, and I know you guys have it, but we work for, I work for the residents. I work for the people of Winston, so
I absolutely agree.
I mean, if I can go to bat, if I can go to bat for them a couple of times, I certainly will, and these are some good folks. I mean, they incurred some big costs. If I got to them sooner, we could have tempered some of these costs. But
I got a feeling they won't make that mistake again, will they?
Well, what you said though, Bill, is we got to pass the word around about some procedures that will help everyone.
Right. Same on both sides, sewer and water. So all of a sudden somebody's got a water leak and they got a 10 feet geyser shooting out of their backyard. Is it theirs or is it ours? If you just call somebody to come and fix it and then you want us to pay for it.
Right.
All right. I'll make a motion. 12 Adams Street, $14.50 reimburse the homeowner.
Before, if I can interrupt, I can make, okay.
Who wanted to interrupt?
Who was wanting to talk?
I just wanted to let you know that neither one was looking for a full refund.
Okay.
They were just looking for a little bit of help. So
right. So 12 Adams right now, it's $14.50. Motion was made and seconded by Joe. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. I'm going with the majority here.
Motion for 142 Main Street, $825 reimbursement. Half of the cost.
That's half of what he paid?
Yes.
I'll make a motion. We reimburse him for half of his outlay or whatever he paid.
I'll second it.
Less the bleach.
That's right.
Any discussion?
We have bleach. We have a lot of bleach.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passed.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Yes.
What happens if during the billing period, if you send out an information letter, Marty can write something down about what to do if you have a sewer blockage? Please call us first, Public Works.
That's correct. Yep.
Make it, with water or sewer, make it pretty
Make
simple.
it both.
So,
that's correct.
I don't know if it can be sent with the bills. I understand that deal, but maybe just sent out. Maybe it's worth the expense, to put a stamp on it and write a letter to all our customers, telling them the do's and don'ts.
Good point.
John.
Yep.
I think that's a great idea, but we have of course, now in today's day and age, I mean, we have stuff on the website and the social media and whatnot.
I know.
Does that reach the masses? Who looks at it? I mean, who really gets that?
I think people pay attention when they get a letter
it.
from the town. I think they will open it, saying, "What the heck is this? Another bill?"
Yeah.
So I think I understand what you're saying, but I still think a letter would work. Would get to them.
Yeah, mark on the top urgent, and maybe tell them that we've had a couple issues.
Bruce, you want to say something?
Yeah, so I would just recommend that you ask these two property owners to provide you with canceled checks for their actual payments. We have bills. Some are marked paid, with a stamp. I would just recommend that you get proof of their outlay before you write a check request.
It's a good idea.
Yep.
And the other thing is that
get proof of canceled checks for both.
Yep.
Yeah. And let them know that you're not going to cover them for the Icebreakers peppermint gum in one of those Dollar Tree.
See?
No Dollar Tree reimbursement.
I'm still trying to get Alex that screen,
All right. Update on GEM software. Track zero usage, Jim?
We have one more bill adjustment.
No, I only had those two.
60 Hurlbut Street.
Hurlbut Street.
I didn't have that one.
I think it was.
No, you just wanted to be updated on that. You gave us permission to.
Yeah,
you gave us permission, Jim and I, at your last meeting. You asked us to handle it. We were just going to give you the resolution on how we did the resolution. Did you see? You should have it there somewhere. You should have it. Jim sent it out.
All right,
there it is. There it is. Yeah.
Basically, you can just review that, and that's the resolution that we came up with.
Okay.
I thought it was very fair.
And Marty, you're going to need to give me an account where we're going to charge those cost reimbursements. That'll have to come out of your department 316.
Yeah, I'll have to probably take it out of 315, the step screen.
Actually, I would thought that you would just take it out of your own pocket.
Yeah. This is why we needed Zoom.
Right, because I'd have just reached across. I'd have chucked my water at him.
Okay, moving on. Update Jim and GEM software.
Yeah, I'll be just a sec.
Oh,
he's writing checks.
See, he's paying for it. Alex needs 200,000 more.
So GEM software, we're still Caitlin's looking into right now she's on how does the other software Quality actually work with utility billings. She's under the impression that they can do the billing like automatically, like through themselves without even having to send off to a printer. But she's checking into some of that stuff. Bruce, I don't know if you know the answers to that question.
I don't have authoritative answers. I have guesses.
Okay.
I'm still learning about Quality.
Yeah, so are we. So we're still looking into it.
okay, Santoros.
I don't have any specific update on that, I think they're in the same situation. They're still, at the attorney.
Bill adjustments.
We already did that.
Okay. Director's report, Jim.
So, director's report. First and foremost, I would like to inform everybody that Alex passed his Class 4 operator's exam the other day. So that's a big deal. That's a really, really hard test to pass. And he did really well on it. Also, Wade Curtis passed his Class 2 test today. So we moved up the ladder to, this week. So we're really happy about that. Let's see.
Let me interrupt for a second, Jimmy. Alex got an 83, which is very, very high.
82.
Yeah. 82.
Yep. You got an 82.
And that's,
just so everybody knows, it's a 12 to 14% pass rate. I think the highest score anybody's ever gotten in the state was like an 88. So Alex is in the top percent. So we want to keep him around. And I missed it by 2 points.
No, really?
2 points I missed it by.
Oh.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, shit. Yeah, so Alex did that on his first test, which is even more phenomenal.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, really. He said that he studied harder for that than he did for any college exam of his life. So that just tells you that just tells you how tough that test is. So kudos to him.
Yes.
Next on my report. I don't know if you got the final version. I think Marty edited it once more since it went to you guys, but we had an incident repair estimate for the debacle that the gas company did at the intersection of Elm Street and Center Street. So we're going to be back charging the gas company $5,800, $5,820.93, plus whatever the costs were to the homeowner. So that covers all of our costs for the overtime, the equipment, the labor, and we met with Eversource and told them what the deal was, and they knew they had no legs to stand on, and they weren't gonna contest, the invoice.
So Jim, they missed the mark. Is that what it is? Is that what happened on the call before you dig?
Well, no, they just dug through it and didn't either notice or care. And we didn't get an explanation as to why they thought it was okay. They just, I think they said they didn't know it, but they couldn't have not seen it. They broke up 5 feet of pipe. So, but okay. So they didn't exactly take responsibility, but they couldn't deny it. So they're just going to pay the bill.
Good.
Yeah, it was weak.
I hope they didn't do anything to the drainage over there.
Yeah, so far it hasn't shown a problem, but we'll see.
You'll have to have something pretty good for that one.
Don't forget that drainage is being replaced when we do that Elm Street job anyway. So.
Over on the intersection, you mean?
Yeah, it's coming down Elm Street, and then that's the reason that their gas line was so deep, is because they had to go under the proposed storm drain that's going to go through there.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, just to educate the rest of my board members, when you do a call before you dig, you have to be within like 14 inches, 14 to 17, something like that inches. If you're off and if they dig inside your mark, it's our responsibility. If they dig outside, it's their responsibility. So, and if they don't, and if it's not marked, it's up to the contractor to call it in. And if they dig like they did without it marking, it's all on them. And that is the law.
No, it was marked, and they hit it.
Yeah, they hit it. They didn't care.
So the Housatonic Valley Association, I don't know if you all remember or not. That was a group that has been doing an assessment value for all of the water company, all the watershed property that the town owns. They are in a position to grant us money in order for permanent protections and some public access. They did their assessment and came back to us saying that they would probably offer the town somewhere between $488,000 and $600,000 with, quote, no strings attached, which means there's strings attached. We just haven't figured out what the strings are. My personal thought is for that kind of money, it's not really worth it because we don't really know we don't know if it's going to have more of a value later for conservation or for carbon sequestration or whatever the values will turn into later. You know, if they were offering us millions now, we'd probably be more interested. But for $500,000, Bob and I both agreed with that. We weren't very inspired by that number. I wanted to bring it to your attention to get a feeling. I did tell Bob when we were going into this project originally that any money that they got from grants by right should go into the improvements to the watershed, meaning the dams, the dikes, the canal, the Mad River diversion. You know, that's a multi-million-dollar project. And at the time he agreed that that was probably the right use of that money. You know, so is 488 to 600,000 that big an assistance on a capital improvement project that's going to last for, 50 years or more? I don't really think it is, but I wanted to let you know those were the numbers that were, tossed out at us. We balked at it. They told us 488. We told them no. They came back with 600. And it still doesn't really doesn't get me that excited. But I wanted to present that to you for your opinions. And you don't have to make your mind up now. It's something you can think about. We'll continue to look into what we actually give up in order to get that money.
What are the strings?
Right, right. So, I can learn a little more about that. But I'm just putting that out there because it was a new, it's the first time they've gotten back to us with anything solid, and just thought I'd share it with you. Let's see. I think so. Yeah, only two things left on my report. I don't know if you guys were aware that there was a cyber attack on a water company in Florida within the last couple of days. And so the Department of Health sent out kind of a YouTube video and a bulletin on it. And I checked with both Alex and with Jeff to see if we have any interconnections where the internet can actually change operational functions of our plants. And we do not. We are completely isolated from the internet. So we should be, safe from any types of those cyber threats that are becoming more and more common. So I wanted to, fill you in on that because you figured if you hadn't heard of it yet, you would in the near future. And I guess that's really it. There's, budget season's coming up. So, I'm going to be meeting with Alex, Jeff, and Marty and going through any changes they need to make, any upgrades. Keep in mind, I will probably be padding the overtime budget because if we are successful in communicating to the public to call us first, we're going to be getting a lot more calls that we have to respond to. So you know, just keep in mind that nothing's free. But other than that, you know, we're just chugging along, making the best use of time we can during the winter.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Sewer plant bridge repair says for 2022 still?
So, yeah, that's the other part of the budget. You know, I'm gonna budget our costs, you know, for that. I want to tag team the inspection of that bridge along with a bridge on the street department. So Bruce, when we get to the budgeting, the project that we're talking about with Bob on Thursday, we're going to have to remember that the Smith Hill Bridge, we want to make that a priority. It wasn't on the spreadsheet we gave you, but I've handwritten it on mine, and I'm just kind of giving you a heads up that we want to do both of those next year. All right. Go ahead, John.
State revolving fund, you're still waiting to hear?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah,
it's really all based on that, and the next one, the dam, you know, USDA funding. It's really all based on the ability to pay. We can keep filling out, you know, SRF applications for water mains and other projects, and USD applications for the dams and dikes, but we're going to reach our ability to support that debt with our current rate structure. So Bruce, do you want to jump in? I know you and I have been talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the three near-term projects with the state revolving loan fund totaled $5 million, $1 million for the water mains, $2 million for each of the tanks. If we got 50% loan forgiveness, then the current water rates can easily handle that debt service. If we got only 25%, we could handle it. We wouldn't have much other freeboard, meaning you wouldn't have the flexibility to take anything else on. If we didn't get any reimbursement or loan forgiveness, the water rates would not be enough to cover all those costs because of the size of the projects, because it's a $5 million loan as opposed to a $2.5 million loan if you get 50% loan forgiveness. So the additional projects, I mean, dam repairs, other water main projects, if you are going to need to do those after these other three projects get finished, then I think that's going to require a water rate increase to service that debt.
And we'll know a little bit better after we see what the real costs. You know, these are all estimated costs, and we'll know better when we know the real costs and the debt forgiveness, or the 50 or the 25 or 50% forgiveness.
I mean, I think we feel very good about the 25% forgiveness rate. I think they dangled the 50% out there. If we could get all of our documents in so that we could go out to bid and that kind of thing. But if we don't get the second 25% forgiveness, we're still in pretty good shape with the current rate structure. We can service, that would be approximately $3,700,000 in debt over a 20-year period with the current rate structure.
They do allow a 25% or 25-year payback on the SRF. And if you're over 5 million, it can go up to 30 years, but then you're paying more interest too. So
yeah. Okay.
So
well,
Jim,
that's good.
do we need $2 million tanks at the same time?
Yeah. We've got to do Wallens, because that's causing us issues.
Well, we haven't used Wallens in years, so okay,
and that's why we're having issues.
With what?
Two things. We believe that the majority of the water main breaks we've had are because without having a tank at that end of town, there's no place for a water hammer to get absorbed, and it's broken those pipes on Halliburton, Florence, North Main. So it's costing us in that way. but even more so when we do have a break, without having a tank on Wallens, we're experiencing negative pressure in some of those higher elevations, which turns into boil water orders and, you know, delays putting pipes back together because we're waiting for bacteria test results and notifications for deep pH. And it's just not, that's not ideal.
Okay, so, well, first let's stay with Wallens Hill.
Yep.
Okay, so going up Holabird, Florence, and whatnot, you got the tank above Florence. So you said the back pressure from the water, but you pumping the water through that tank and then back down Wallens? What is it actually doing to protect the back? You had mentioned the flow of the water, so I'm trying to understand the tank is higher than the water lines themselves. So what are you doing to protect it, the water lines?
So that it keeps the water. Are you talking from protecting it from the water hammer?
Well, yeah, the water hammer. You said it's protecting it from the water, but how does that happen if the tank is above the water lines?
Because the tank has an empty airspace above it. So if any water hammer goes charging through the system, it's just going to go until it finds the weakest spot in the system. Currently, the weakest spot ends up breaking a pipe. But if we have a tank up there, the tank has an area in the top that's just air. So the water has a place to expand into, and it just absorbs the impact and takes the load off of the pipes.
Yeah.
So you could do that without building a whole new water tank system per se on Wallens Hill. You could still put
you could put an accumulator of some type in there.
Right. For much less than $1 million. Okay.
Yeah, I would say so.
Every time we've had a water main break, a major water main break, we've experienced a negative pressure, a negative pressure, which is meters spinning backwards in any of our low pressure zones, which is Florence, all the way down to basically just above Stanton Ave. Department of Public Health won't hear any argument. You're not going to not have a tank up there or any way of providing water.
We haven't had a tank up there for years.
We've been having problems.
Violation.
You have had a tank. We have had a tank up there. We took the tank offline there, 2 years ago, Jim?
Yeah.
2017, 2018. We took the tank offline. Ever since we've never had a negative pressure issue up on that hill. What the issue was with that tank was when you would get a water main break, you drain that tank and you bring all that lovely water back into your system. You were probably drinking some of that. It was right down the road, by you, John.
I know.
But that water would and come down the hill. The tank served its purpose, but it was the engineering of that tank, it was far too large. The altitude valves were the wrong valves to be used there. It's that hill with our system, we can't survive without a tank up on the hill there. It's not a good system without a tank up on the hill there.
What size tank are you proposing up there?
Half the size of the one that's there, 500,000 gallons.
Okay. Okay, the other two tanks?
The other one tank.
Well, I thought they were $5 million. One for Wallens Hill and two other tanks for $2 million apiece.
No.
There's one Wallens Hill, one at Crystal Lake.
So
Crystal Lake is 2.
Crystal Lake has 2 tanks.
No, it has one tank already.
Okay.
And that tank needs to be repaired. Remember
correct.
The inside of that tank is compromised.
Okay.
So we can't bypass that tank without having another tank of some type to give us our chlorine contact time. So we have to add a tank up there. So we're going to add another tank, which is half the size of the one that's existing. So it's a 1 million gallon tank that's there. We're going to add a 500,000 right next to it.
Okay, so the 500,000 tank is how much?
2 million. So you got 2 million for the Crystal Lake tank and 2 million for the Wallens tank.
Yeah.
And then 1 million for the water mains. That's the 5 million.
Now, as far as the Crystal Lake, does it have to be a permanent tank? Can you get a portable tank up there for less? All you're going to do is you're just using it to bypass to repair, correct?
Yeah, we looked into that a little bit, and it was
Rain
pretty
for
expensive.
rent. Rain for rent, for instance, you can get a temporary bladder tank. That project would have been, we'll have to talk with Jeff a little bit, don't hold me to it, but almost $275,000 to rent something, to simply rent something. You'd be doing that again next time you want to rehabilitate this concrete tank.
Yeah, but some of the
thing
other
we
ones,
haven't.
go ahead.
No. So what's going to happen is this system's going to last for 100 years. We want this filtration system to work. To not have a redundant tank up there, up at Crystal Lake, doesn't make good sense.
Go ahead. All right. Okay, water regulations.
We haven't touched it.
Tree harvesting.
Haven't touched it.
MIUs.
That's still on pause because of COVID.
I'm not sure what discussion MIUs was for.
Yeah, I think that's all one topic.
Yeah. New business. Anyone have new business?
No.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Anybody want to go home?
Everybody wants to go home?
No.
That sounded
They got
painful.
snow to shovel.
Why everybody wants to go shovel?
There, huh?
I already shoveled. All done.
All in favor? All right.
All right.
Hey.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you,
Good night.
Pam.
Thanks, Pam. Thanks, Rhonda. Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Rhonda.